The human figure in an exotic landscape was a popular theme in the art of the early 20th century and symbolized a longing for a connection between humankind and nature. Magnus Enkel was an artist who combined nature and the figure of a young man in a way that disconcerted the art world. When he first traveled to Paris in 1891, the young Enkel became interested in a popular art movement of the day, symbolism. The paintings of his youth were marked by symbolism's aesthetic use of color and very limited palette. These almost monochrome works, painted in spare, contrasting dark and light colors, had a strong foundation in drawing. Soon after the turn of the century, Enkel's expression took a more painterly turn. The work's aesthetic color range was then enriched with subtle bluish, yellowish, and pink tones. That was until Enkel, one of the leading figures of the Finnish art scene, embarked on an entirely new phase, on a mode of expression so incandescent and colorful that people in Finland were not really able or willing to respond to it. Awakening Faun is a key work of Magnus Enkel's colorist period of the 1910s. While the works of the artist's youth were marked by a sinewy line, this new painting was sheer color. There is not a single solid line in sight. A fairy tale figure, akin to the god Pan, languidly awakens in the heat of the sun. Behind him is a watery scene that is hard to make out. This links the painting to the myth of Narcissus, which tells of a young man who falls in love with his own image, mirrored in the surface of a pool. Mythological subjects had already long had a place in Enkel's expression. He was also aware of the ballet, The Afternoon of a Faun, set to the music of Claude Debussy. Its premiere had scandalized Paris in the spring of 1912. That performance was one but not the only stimulus for the painting of this work. Enkel has portrayed the reclining figure of the faun in brilliant colors. Men were not usually depicted like this, as sensual and passive. It was, however, possible to sidestep the unwritten rules for depicting the genders. For example, by specifically placing the figure in a mythological context. Nevertheless, here too Enkel's faun oversteps boundaries. The tanned face and hands do not speak of some mythical world, but of the reality of a young man who does physical labor. Most of the art critics vigorously shunned the blatant homosexual tensions in Magnus Enkel's works. They described their colors as perfumed and the figures as unmanly. They resorted to euphemisms and expressed the hope that Enkel would develop in a healthier direction as an artist. The artworks of Magnus Enkel's colorist period were largely based on a French view of art, on the neo-impressionists' theory of color, and on the tones of what was known as the pure palette. Enkel and his artist comrades founded the Septem Group, which was influenced by the decorativeness and vivid colors of French art. Awakening Faun was painted in 1914, when the group was in its heyday.